Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Welcome to USA Prepares. This is your captain speaking, John Regan. I'm sitting in for Vincent today. It seems like it's been a string of Mondays lately. In fact, this is my 8th in a row. Normally, I'm here with Vincent on Mondays, and sometimes there's things that he just has to take care of during broadcast hours, and when that happens, he only has really two choices. He can have a guest host, which is me, or run a replay, and we prefer to give you the latest material that's available, and so here we are. And I'd like to remind everybody, coming up this weekend, June 25th and 26th, there'll be the RK Prepper Show at the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds in Springfield, Missouri. Several of your USA Prepares instructors will be presenting, including Dr. Richard Allen Miller, Matt Stein, Craig Douglas, and Vincent himself. And there's also going to be a meetup at Jimmy's Egg on Saturday night, June 25th, 6 p.m. Have dinner, Dutch treat. Dinner's available for less than $10. Vince has asked that you email him, Vincent@USAPrepares.com, if you plan on attending, so he can have a number to reserve space with. And please put USA Prepares for Union in the subject line. And students, instructors, and guests are all welcome. I wish I could make it. It's Wednesday, which means we have Dr. Norman Shealy.
Good morning, Don. What's up?
Oh, man. I'm starting to get into that early panic stage, because we move in fact, I've got the mover scheduled 5 weeks from today, and there is so much packing to be done. It's not funny.
I understand moving is a chore, to say the least. But other than moving, what are your latest thoughts? It's been a week since I've asked you the basic question, when is the big crash coming?
Yeah, the when is the hardest part, because there's so many manipulations going on. I do want to make a distinction between financial collapse and economic collapse. The financial collapse is basically when your money starts becoming more and more, worth less and less until it becomes worthless. And the economic collapse is when the economy itself, which is where everything is produced and transported and served, all that collapses. And
there's one more little detail about that. There's the United States crash versus the international crash, et cetera, et cetera. They do go together, I think.
Yeah, when the United States goes down, and it could start here, it could start in Europe, could start in Japan. That's basically your three largest economies. And I guess China is coming up there, especially with the amount of debt they have. Any one of those four really could start the dominoes falling. Japan has been, trying to pull rabbits out of their hat for a long time, and they have so many problems besides Fukushima. Part of it's demographic, part of it's you know, just their whole financial system is, while the debt isn't as bad as ours, their situation is as bad. Europe will know this week whether Britain votes to leave the EU or not. And whether it stays or whether it goes, European banks are having problems, especially Dutch Bank, and that could be the trigger. But there's other banks in Europe that are having problems as well. And China apparently has pretty much reached the limit of what they're able to borrow, which further constricts their growth, which further constricts the growth that the world has been hoping for out of China, because it's been the point where they were making money on. And then there's the good old USA, and we're at the point where the Fed is in a corner. They can't raise rates or they cause problems, and they can't lower rates or they cause problems. So either way, it's bad. It's just the symptoms will be a little bit different on which way they end up going, but it's looking more and more like they're not going to be able to raise rates, which means that when they hit that problem area where their solution was to lower rates a couple of points, that means we'll end up with negative interest rates here in the United States. So there's definitely some signs we can be watching for. Unfortunately, the trigger event will probably happen on a Friday afternoon, and you will have little or no time to get any cash out from your bank. So make sure you've, to the best of your ability, have some cash on hand. And there are so many charts that I've seen that are looking a whole lot like 2008, and there's also a number of charts that are looking a whole lot like 1929.
And a few that look worse than both of them together.
Absolutely. And
John, I don't think I've ever asked you this question. If I have, I don't remember your answering it. I have been trying for years to find out exactly how does a country recover from total disasters, such as the hyperinflation in Europe, in Germany, way back. And, of course, Argentina has gone through what I call total collapse at least 3 or 4 times in my lifetime, and yet they do seem to bounce back somehow, sometimes for short and sometimes for a longer period of time. What is the likely progression from the worst to some kind of recovery?
That's where it gets tough, because we're in a position unlike any in world history. In fact, one of the things I talked about yesterday was the 5,000-year dip, which looked at interest rates over the last 5,000 years. And with the exception of a little blip in 1929, we're at the lowest that we've been at. And we can't sustain that because it ruins the whole savings. And if you don't have savings, then you can't afford to invest or retire, things of that nature. And when you're dealing with some of these countries like Argentina, Venezuela, that go through these tough times, so far the rest of the world has been in, let's just call it normalcy, even though it's not really. So that after they collapse, then people can come in and reinvest in the economy and get things going. But we are in a situation today where just about everything is interconnected. It's a global economy. And we can look back at the Great Depression, Weimar Germany, the tough economic times of the 30s, and they got out of that by having a world war. And that's where it looks to me that we are going. We've got 10 countries in the world that are not at war currently. And when this financial collapse happens, it doesn't take very much to heat things up. We've also got the problems of droughts and floods and other things that are causing problems with the food supply. And when you start having those food riots, especially, the governments really like to start war to focus the anger of the peasants outside instead of focusing the anger at the government. And with today's technology, it's not going to be like World War I and World War II, where the United States really didn't suffer very much on the mainland. It doesn't take very many, missiles or a nuke or two to wipe out our electric grid. And that's the scenario that really concerns me. The country is not ready for it. And without power, there's no food. And cities aren't going to have any water. They're not going to have sanitation. And that adds up to a huge, huge, huge decline in population.
You know that I was born in the height of the Depression, that is 1932. And my family were not, wealthy. We were what I would call relatively what I'd call lower middle class at the time. And I don't remember a lot before age 5, but I know that from age 5, which was 37 until 42 when the war started, we didn't suffer. Now, we did live in a very small town, but it was a town, and we did have electricity. My grandparents did not have electricity until after World War II, but of course they were accustomed to living without electricity. So, this, whatever we're looking at, could be infinitely worse than by far the worst of the 1929 Depression.
And I've got the stories of, well, I'll wait for after the break. No sense getting started now. It's John Regan with Dr. Norm Shealy. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now, with equipment purchased from IronEdison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Attention USA Prepares listeners. When you're on the road or have limited data or Wi-Fi, now you can listen to USA Prepares Unfiltered and Untapped at no extra charge on this non-federal phone number, 1-605-477-3249. Try it now to listen to USA Prepares 24/7 at no extra cost or data charges. These are not on federal lines. These are lines located on Indian reservations off the grid. Call 1-605-477-3249. No smartphones or internet needed. To hear USA Prepares Untapped and off the grid, just call 1-605-477-3249.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Attention backpackers, on a budget, why spend $80 to $300 to pump clean survival water? Introducing the Viva Water Pump Kit from Viva Outdoor Products. Super easy to use and super lightweight at only 6.5 ounces, the Viva Water Pump Kit provides high flow rate at 1 ounce per stroke, can be one-hand pumped, and is dependable and affordable at only $24.99, filter not included. Get your Viva Water Pump Kit at viba-odp.com from Viva Outdoor Products.
This is John Regan sitting in for Vincent today. Dr. Norman Shealy. I was getting ready to say that, if my parents were alive today, my dad would be 98 and my mother would be 95. So most of the kids I went to school with, their stories of the Great Depression and World War II were things they heard from their grandparents. For me, it was the stories I got from my parents. And I guess to try and relate a little bit, we think cell phones are all over the place today, which they pretty much are. But if you get out in rural areas, there's places that you can't get service. Well, even in the 60s, that's how it was with electricity. There were places that hadn't been electrified yet. And you go back to the 20s, the big cities would have electricity, but the rural areas, they were still rolling that out. And I don't know exactly the time frame, but my mother told stories of, when she was on a farm and, raised pigs and things like that. And even people that weren't in agriculture, which was about 20% of the population back then, less than 1% now, people would, have gardens, they'd have chickens, that was just normal back then. Grocery stores, forget the supermarkets. If there was a grocery store, it was small. And you like I say, you raised most of your own food, or you had a market where you went and bought things that weren't raised in the area or something that you didn't raise. So it's a whole different world now, where you can go in and get anything you want out of season, and sometimes you wonder, the packaging itself can, provide things that are damaging to your body, whether it's plastics or BPA in cans. It's different on so many levels.
Yeah, it brings up some really interesting aspects of this, John. I think we've talked about this before. I personally lived on a farm for 47 of my adult years, and from the moment we moved to the farm, we started canning, and I've never stopped. So that, and I do personally prefer to can everything I can out of my garden. And I do want to remind people that when you can, which is in a jar with a metal top, those jars, if you keep them in a dry place, will keep for 10 or more years. If you keep them in a basement where there tends to be more moisture, they'll keep at least for 7 or 8 years. Now, that's not as long as some of the freeze-dried foods, but it's a lot less expensive to can your own. I mean, last weekend, for instance, I put up just 14 quarts of potatoes. Now, potatoes will keep quite a long time, but I want to have things. I mean, you could eat the canned potatoes right out of the jar. They don't even have to be heated in order to be safe to eat once they've been canned. And so what on earth can people who live in a city who don't have a yard, what can they actually keep in an apartment that will help them survive more than a few days?
Well, it would take putting in a supply of freeze-dry food, which gets to be rather expensive. You're talking about over $1,000 a year for one person, and you'd need several years of that. So I really, really would like to be out of the city. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen anytime soon. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to beef up my food supply a little bit. Otherwise, I don't have a whole lot to look forward to myself. I'm pretty good for water, but food is up there, and it's like Marjorie Wallcraft said. If you have anything less than 100% crop failure for your first 3 years, you have a green thumb. You need the skills. This is John Regan with Dr. Norm Shealy. We'll be back after this break.
You know about RVs, you've heard about bunkers, but surviving is not recreation, and man wasn't made to live underground. Introducing Survivalist Camps, the ultimate fully functional off-the-grid survival bug-out house that's mobile, well-equipped, and custom-built to outlast any other RV or trailer. Go to survivalistcamps.com to learn more. That's survivalistcamps.com, providing your basic needs to survive. Survivalistcamps.com.
This is Dan Pillett. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpillett.com.
As a doctor, I see patients every day who are losing their vision and independence to age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD. It's the leading cause of blindness in adults 55 and older. Some of us are at greater risk for AMD. If you have blurry vision or blind spots, they can be symptoms of AMD. If left untreated, it can lead to blindness. The good news? With early detection, AMD can be managed with effective clinically approved treatments that can reduce or even reverse some vision loss. Learning that you have AMD can be scary, but there's hope and help. The Foundation Fighting Blindness is researching and developing treatments and cures for AMD. To get your free AMD information packet, contact the Foundation Fighting Blindness today at 1-800-BLINDNESS. That's 1-800-BLINDNESS. Join the fight against AMD, because together there is a cure in sight.
Here's Dr. Paul Meyer, Christian psychiatrist, author of 85 books, and founder of the national chain Meyer Clinics, to tell you about To Your Health liquid vitamins.
I've been taking these every day for over a decade now, and I try to encourage every one of my clients to take them every day. And there's a number of reasons. First of all, it's the best vitamins you can get. It's got dozens of vitamins, antioxidants, and nutrients in it. And then the most important reason why I do it as a psychiatrist and recommend it to my patients is because it's got brain food in it. It's got the essential amino acids. It's got tryptophan, phenylalanine, tyrosine, choline, vitamin B6, and these chemicals that are all natural from food turn into the brain chemicals that make you happy.
To Your Health is delicious. Find out more today. Call us 800-801-3459 or visit online at mytoyourhealth.com. Use the coupon code RADIO15 for a 15% discount on your order. That's mytoyourhealth.com.
Is negative content or comments on the web affecting your personal or professional reputation? Unfavorable comments, embarrassing pictures, videos, legal documents, and negative articles can ruin your personal life, your career, or your business. It happens a lot, and it's just not fair. But what can you do? ReputationDefender.com can help protect your good name. Get a free consultation now. Call 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Call right now for a free expert reputation analysis. It's easy to squash the unfair attacks with our patented system, and the analysis is absolutely free. Make the best things about you jump out in searches. Protect your personal and professional reputation, your business, and your income. Get your free reputation analysis from ReputationDefender.com right now. Call 800-831-0771. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com today.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-941-5257. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-941-5257. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-941-5257. That's 1-800-941-5257.
This is John Regan at the controls, and so far as I know, Vincent will be back tomorrow, but there's always the chance I could get that phone call, "Hey, John," and I may be back tomorrow too. So we'll see on that. If you have a question for Dr. Shealy, you can call us toll free at 1-866-582-9933. That's 1-866-582-9933. So let's try and wrap up the discussion a bit. The most likely scenario I see is war, and I don't see many, if any, electrical grids surviving. We do have 3 grids here in the United States: the East grid, the West grid, and the Texas grid. And of course, there's a couple hundred countries throughout the world, and they have their own grid setups. And with those grids taken down, the economy just grinds to a halt. And while humans lived for millennium without electricity, they don't know how to do it now. We don't have the supply chain that runs without electricity and petroleum. So that's one scenario. The other one, to me, is even more frightening, and that's instead of going to war, they implement that worldwide communist utopia. And if that happens, there's going to be some people surprised, especially the useful idiots. And I've got an interview with a Soviet defector on the financial state of the union.com on the news tab. I think it was either this week or last week, where I posted that. And the term that they used in the Soviet Union was useful idiots. So the Democrats that are destroying the country, the union thugs, the feminists, the homosexuals, everybody that's working against our country, those are going to be among the first that they get rid of. They also will get rid of those that listen to this show, the free thinkers, the individualists. And you're left with the elite, with their inner circle of trusted minions, and then everybody else is a slave to the state. And with the technology that we have today, and unfortunately, I think few people today are getting an education about World War II and how Nazi Germany was with the Gestapo. And if Nazi Germany had the technology we had today, it's absolutely frightening what they would have been able to do with the artificial intelligence, the quantum computing, and the Internet of Things, which I call the Internet of Everything. The surveillance and control of society will be a world that I certainly wouldn't want to live in.
Well, you summarized it well, and just before the break, you were mentioning water, but even in a city, if the power is down, there won't be any water.
There's some sources. Again, you have to be able to make it drinkable. Like here in Dallas, we've got a river that goes through the city. And if you just go out there and pull water out of that river and drink it, no telling how long you'll last, but it probably won't be very long.
Exactly.
But so long as you have a freshwater source and a water filter, there's places in the city where you can make it. Now, there's other places where you'd have to travel so far to get to a water source that you have problems.
Well, considering the doom and gloom possibility, I do want to mention, from a medical health point of view, that one of the things I strongly recommend that everybody have on hand, and I would say by the beginning of October, just to be safe, is a minimum of a year's supply of any major or essential nutrients, and of course medications that are essential. Because in times of great stress, the one thing you need is almost as much as food is whatever supplements you're accustomed to taking or consider essential for your welfare.
And we've talked about it too, the electrolytes, what we call table salt sodium, whether it's in the real salt or the Himalayan pink salt form, having several pounds of that available, the potassium, the magnesium, and then other things that you talk about, the vitamin D3. Most of us don't live in an area where we can manufacture the D3 or manufacture the D from exposure to the sun. And even here in Texas, there's months of the year that we need supplementation too. Then you have the K2 to go along with that, and the vitamin C, the MSM. There's a few more we can add to that list.
Yeah, I mean, all of those are things that people need to think about. It's second only to air and water. And I mean, you can, and of course, what ideas have you about the most important food to have?
Well, to me, it's important to have animals, which is what's really deficient in my area of preparedness, because it's pretty easy to store the carbohydrates and proteins, but you can't store the fat. And that's where you've got, like chicken eggs, you get the fat there, the chickens themselves, goats, cows, you've got the milk. You can get protein from rabbits, but they don't have fat. So if you're wanting to make sure you got the fat in your diet, don't count on rabbits to do that for you. And you can probably tell us better, there's certain essential fatty acids that after a certain period of time, that starts showing up in your body as a deficiency because your body is expecting to have that supply chain for everything from making hormones to helping your brain, which is mostly fat.
Yes. And of course, one of the nicest things about animals that you grass feed or range fed, if you will, is they produce the right kind of essential fatty acids.
And unfortunately, today's commercial operations don't feed animals that way, so we don't even get the good fats from most of the meat that we get at the grocery store.
Exactly. In fact, at best, in my opinion, in a grocery store, food-wise, you buy only on the outside aisles. That's the best you can do. That is, the meats, the dairy, and the fresh vegetable produce. Anything on the inner aisles is already likely to be junk.
Yeah, if it's in a box, can, or package, it's probably not good for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's like one of my favorite statements is, Campbell soups are not good, they're junk. Because they're loaded with, among other things, monosodium glutamate, which is poison to your brain bucket.
And, fish is a good source of omega-3 fats. However, currently, they're quite contaminated with mercury, even, in the fresh waters of the United States. And it's not because of the coal electrical plants that we have here. It's because of the coal electric plants in China. Now, the good news is that if we end up in that grid-down situation, then that source of mercury will stop coming, and you probably have to give it some period of months, but at that point it'll become safer and safer to eat the fish and get that good fat.
Exactly. And incidentally, for those who cannot, stock up excessively on freeze-dried foods, my favorite canned protein and omega-3 food is pink salmon. Pink salmon is at least wild salmon, and I hate to think about possibility that it has radiation in it, but at least pink salmon comes from Alaska and is one of the finest sources of calcium as well as protein and omega-3 fatty acids.
And again, you start off talking about canning, and that's so important because even if you have the skills to farm, the weather is already unpredictable and likely to get less predictable. And so many things can cause crop loss, whether it's an early or late freeze, bad hailstorm, tornado, and you just have to have enough food stored up to make it through an extra season or two. This is John Regan with Dr. Norma Shealy. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from IronEdison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Are you worried about how dangerous the world has become? In these days of terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or even a future collapse, you need to be medically prepared to keep your family safe. I'm Joe Alton, MD of store.doomandbloom.net, where you'll find an entire line of uniquely designed medical kits and supplies for when help is not on the way. For everything from individual first aid kits to the ultimate family medical bag, go to store.doomandbloom.net today. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
This is John Regan with Dr. Norm Shealy. You know, one of the things that I'm going to be interested in watching is how we handle things this time. In Weimar, Germany, we've heard where the inflation was so bad that they paid people twice a day, and people would rush to the store to buy things before their money became more worthless. And how is that going to happen in today's world where all the companies are geared to, at best, a weekly payroll, most often a bi-weekly or semi-monthly payroll. They're not going to be set up to pay people once or twice a day even. And instead of having a fix on the currency twice a day, we've got 24/7 computers that will constantly change what the market is for the currency unless the government steps in and says otherwise. So, while you sleep, you can be losing value with your money.
Well, of course, those computers may not be working either, and I remember the tales of people having to take their money in a wheelbarrow, and most people don't have wheelbarrows today.
And it takes time for governments to change laws. So now with unemployment, you can get a few $100s a week. Well, if you get a few $100s a week for unemployment and it takes you over $1,000 a week just to buy food, things can get dicey rather quick.
Yeah, I think if things get as bad as some people say, you might as well be recycled and wait for another planet or another time.
Yeah, it's going to be a wake-up call, and I think the financial collapse is going to wake a lot of people up. It's just at that point, it's going to be too late. So many people, we've seen these headlines, have less than $400 available for emergencies. And if that's all you have, maybe you can get some water filters, but there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do to get ready with $400. And I wish things were different. And it's like I say, if we could get 10 to 20% of the households to start raising food, we could bypass a lot of the famine problem that's coming. But people won't be willing to do that until they're willing to wake up, and government is getting more and more nasty, cracking down, not letting you raise food in the city.
Oh, I know. I mean, in Springfield, I think there's a limit to how many chickens you can have on a city lot, no matter how big your lot is, and you cannot have a rooster. I mean, how stupid can you get?
Springfield doesn't even like bees.
Well, that's right. And, the important thing is, I think maybe it's worth my saying this. No matter how bad it gets, the one thing you can do is manage your stress. And the best way to manage your stress, the simplest way, the longest proven, scientifically valid way is something called autogenic training. If everybody started practicing autogenic training today, it would at least allow a phenomenal reduction in the stress. My whole philosophy since 1972, when I began autogenic training myself, is if I can't change it, just detach. There's no point in my wasting my life energy on things I cannot change.
And so true. Worrying doesn't help. I just had a thought, maybe we could get Springfield to be more friendly towards bees if we tell them they're cross-pollinators.
Right.
John Regan and Dr. Norman Shealy will be back after the top of the hour break.
How many of you want to learn how to dig up bugs, worms, and raise crickets for food? Do you prefer to eat them dried and crunchy or while still alive? Well, you won't have to if you can defend your food supply from predators. You may want to get an AR-15 kit from guns80.com and build your own AR-15 rifle from a kit. If you can legally own a rifle, you can purchase this AR-15 kit. If you're handy, you can complete the rifle in about an hour. The kit comes with all the parts you're going to need to build your rifle, but you'll need a drill press. And survivalists need one anyway. The Guns80.com team purchased the same used floor-standing drill press that I have for $100. You can too. And when you're finished, you'll have a paperwork-free AR-15 rifle, a drill press, drill bits, and the knowledge to maintain your AR-15 rifle, all for less than you expect. So if you want a paperwork-free AR-15 parts kit like mine, visit guns80.com, guns80.com, and let the unprepared have our share of the bugs.
The best kept secret in the firearms business is CDNNsports.com. CDNN Sports is the largest firearms liquidator in the U.S. We've got optics, accessories, gun parts, magazines, ammunition, and more. Sign up for our email specials today for the best gun deals, period. You will also be entered to win a Winchester 101 field shotgun. Go to Charlie, Delta, Novembersports.com. That's CDNNsports.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
This is John Regan sitting in for Vincent today. And just a quick reminder, the RK Prepper Show will be in Springfield, Missouri this weekend, the 25th and 26th, at the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds. We have several of your instructors, USA Prepares instructors, going to be there. And Vincent would appreciate you emailing him at vincent@usaprepares.com if you plan on attending the Saturday night 6 p.m. dinner, Dutch treat, and let them know how many people are coming. Put USA Prepares Reunion in the subject line. And basically everybody, if as long as you don't work for the government, is welcome. Dr. Shealy, I guess let me give out the call-in line again. If you have a question for Dr. Shealy, the call-in number is 1-866-582-9933. That's 1-866-582-9933. So we spent the first hour on economy and preparedness. What else is it you'd like to talk about today that we might have taken some sidetracks from?
Well, I do think it's time to think about just detaching from stuff you can't change. Playing broken records doesn't work. I think it's important to be prepared. I think it's important to be organized. But once you've done what you can do, and you've done an honest, organized assessment of what you can do, then the time has come to reach back and just detach. And there are many ways to do that. Among other things, one of the things that can help a great deal and improve your health at the same time is any kind of physical activity, even walking, jogging, treadmilling, trampolining, standing in place and just moving your arms and legs up and down. That is a stress reducer. And again, in times of stress, the most important thing is to de-stress.
And I'm looking forward to once this move is out of the way. We've got a patio that's has a southern exposure, and I won't know about how much sun I get until we actually move in. But I believe I'll be able to at least get some containers out there and do some container gardening and start working on those skills. If nothing else, we can start raising some herbs for using in cooking and start using fresh herbs instead of the stuff we get at the store.
All good stuff, to say the least. Anything you can do. Incidentally, I want to bring up something that is totally unrelated, but it just popped into my mind. I saw a young man yesterday who appears to have very severe aluminum toxicity. Now, unfortunately, he and his wife had not made the clear-cut distinction between those underarm deodorants that clearly label have aluminum in them, which I don't recommend and have not for 40 plus years. But these so-called deodorant stones, these deodorant stones are nothing but pure aluminum. You know, aluminum oxide, aluminum something, but those great big stones, they're expensive. They're more expensive than the regular commercial ones. And they had a whole store of them at home. I said, don't even plant them in your yard because it'll poison your garden. So people should avoid the so-called deodorant stones that health food stores shamelessly put out as being better than deodorants. Those are aluminum. Don't use them.
One of the things I do is I use the Nixol solution, which tends to work pretty well. And then if I get...
It works extremely well. You can buy little spray bottles or buy a big bottle and get yourself a small spray bottle to refill. And it's inexpensive. And 2 or 3 sprays under each arm works extremely well with no odor at all and no risk.
It gets a little chilly in the wintertime, but you know, I think it's better than the alternative. And sometimes it gets to the point where I need to do something a little bit more, so I'll make myself a baking soda paste, and put that under my arms, like when I'm shaving, and then head to the shower and, you know, rinse it off, and that's kind of like a reset. I know some people make a deodorant with like coconut oil and baking soda, and I've tried that. I just can't do it because the alkalinity of the baking soda just doesn't agree with my skin.
Right, and there are many, many roads to Rome, but just one of the, you know, simple things worth thinking about is you have to read the labels and pay all kinds of attention to be certain that you're not getting something that isn't good for you. Incidentally, this young man that I saw in his early 40s had seen, I guess, a dozen physicians, and nobody had thought about aluminum toxicity.
What are some of the signs of that?
Well, it can be everything. It can be rashes, of course, headache, an unusual, odd headache, not your usual migraine, not your usual tension headache, and a headache that doesn't go away with virtually any normal so-called treatment. And then personality changes. Interestingly, one of the things, this man did not have that, but is getting extremely agitatedly angry. So worth thinking about. Any unusual, you know, symptom that you don't have any other cause about or know about is worth thinking. What have I been exposed to now that isn't helping my body do its normal stuff? I mean, most people with common sense gave up aluminum cookware 40 or more years ago. Aluminum cans, of course, are negative. Aluminum, well, you know, interesting. Let's put it this way. The aluminum industry is almost as bad as Monsanto, because the aluminum industry is what put fluoride in the water. Way back in the 40s, they were producing so much fluoride as a result of mining for aluminum that they had a national contest of how to get rid of the waste product. And some stupid dentist recommended fluoride in the water. So it's a double poison, if you will.
And then they got Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, to come up with the propaganda to push that on the people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is truly part of the evil empire, and I don't know anything else to call it.
What is your opinion of drinking lemon water in the morning?
It is, for people who, you know, aren't optimally healthy, it is one thing. It does alkalinize the body. One of the most common problems is having a body that is not alkaline enough. the blood and your saliva should have a pH of 7.4. And if it's below that, you are going to have every dysfunction in the body eventually not work. So 1 lemon juice squeezed into a glass of water and drunk in the morning will help to alkalinize you for the day.
I've been seeing an article circulate the internet lately that suggests mixing lemon juice and baking soda. And, even with my limited chemistry background, to me, that changes both of them. And I'm not sure that would actually produce the benefits you're looking for, either with the lemon juice or with the baking soda.
Right. Again, I don't particularly like baking soda because of the increase in sodium. I prefer potassium bicarbonate to sodium bicarbonate.
Okay. Let's see. I also saw an article, aspartame is a hidden Schedule II narcotic. And the reasoning on that is, the aspartame, with heat breaks down into methanol, and that's classified as a severe metabolic poison.
Well, it is, and we've known that, I don't know, at least 30 years or more. Aspartame is another of the artificial poisons that the food mafia has put on us.
And I remember I was I was stationed in Germany when it first came out on the market, but I was in D.C. when it became available. I was on a trip to get some education on our new computer system at the time. And I remember them saying it wasn't approved for hot beverages at the time, like coffee. And, with my ignorance, I was thinking, well, maybe they just need more time to do the research on that. But the fact of the science is that once that is heated above 86 degrees, it starts breaking down. And when you've got, all these soft drinks on delivery trucks in the summertime, and it gets up over 100 degrees in those, by the time you pull it off the shelf, you're already drinking the methanol. And, it's a wonder we don't have more problems than we do.
Right. Well, the food industry is as evil as the tobacco industry, the aluminum industry. They're all people who have no conscience whatsoever.
It's John Regan with Dr. Norm Shealy. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now, with equipment purchased from ironedison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of ironedison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our ironedison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at ironedison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. This could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Attention backpackers on a budget. Why spend $80 to $300 to pump clean survival water? Introducing the Viba Water Pump Kit from Viba Outdoor Products. Super easy to use and super lightweight at only 6.5 ounces, the Viba Water Pump Kit provides high flow rate at 1 ounce per stroke, can be one-hand pumped, and is dependable and affordable at only $24.99. Filter not included. Get your Viba Water Pump Kit at viba-odp.com from Viba Outdoor Products.
John Regan at the controls today with Dr. Norm Shealy. If you don't subscribe to his newsletter, you can go to his website, normshealy.com, and you can get it for the outrageous price of absolutely free. And if you don't remember that, you can go to usaprepares.com, click on the instructor tab, and scroll down to the health section and get to Dr. Shealy's website that way. And he also has a web store with a lot of great books and great supplements. Dr. Shealy?
John.
Yes.
What are you doing on an average day-to-day throughout the week to optimize your health? Sorry to put you on the spot suddenly with that warning.
We first off, we use filtered water because that helps keep a lot of the toxins out. We have a lot of supplements that we take, including the D3, the K2. We've got vitamin C, MSM, along with a number. I'd have to go to the shelf to read them all to you. What I'm hoping to get to is to make adjustments with the food, because right now I'm still going to the grocery store, and even some of those prices are outrageous, but we haven't been able to afford going back out to the Mennonite farm that we like to use, where we can get things like the raw milk and the real free-range eggs and the grass-fed beef and the pastured chickens and things of that nature. So hopefully once this move is done and things settle down, we can start putting some more better food into our life.
How many servings a day, average, of fruits and vegetables do you eat?
We don't get a lot of produce at the moment. Like I say, even the bad food is expensive now.
Well, there are some reasonably inexpensive dried greens, and a scoop of those can substitute for a vegetable as well. May not be as good as, fresh organic produce raised in your own garden, but it's still better than not having it. Because, among other things, inadequate fruits and vegetables are a major contributor to disease. The most important thing to know is that fruits and vegetables should be roughly 80% of your diet.
The other good news is the side of town we're moving to will have more access to stores that carry healthy things. Besides, we got Whole Paycheck, also known as Whole Foods. We've got Trader Joe's, and we've got a couple of other brands, including Sprouts, that are in the area. The side of town I live on now, it's kind of like a desert. You have to travel probably close to 10 miles just to get to one of those types of stores.
What, in terms of big cities in the country, where does Dallas stand? Number what now?
As a separate city, I'm not sure. The Metroplex is probably sitting around number 4. Mm-hmm. The whole Metroplex has 7 million people.
Yeah. Well, way back in the 60s, they were trying to get me to move to Dallas, to Southwestern Medical School. And the argument they were using, it was growing so fast it was going to become the number one big city in the country, which was enough even back then to turn me off. I didn't want to live in number 1, 2, 3, 4 of the biggest cities anywhere in the world.
I think New York, Chicago, and LA still are larger. And
right.
Houston by itself is larger, but the Metroplex is bigger. It's John Regan with Dr. Norm Shealy. We'll be back after this break.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite, a 7-herb combination made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, hawthorn, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Each herb was chosen for their abilities to help improve irregular heartbeats, chest pain, lower cholesterol, as well as normalized blood pressure and clean and strengthen arteries, plus much, much more. Doctors have taken people off of some or all of their pills just because they believe their patients got better while taking Extendovite. Get the dependability of Extendovite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
As a doctor, I see patients every day who are losing their vision and independence to age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD. It's the leading cause of blindness in adults 55 and older. Some of us are at greater risk for AMD. If you have blurry vision or blind spots, they can be symptoms of AMD. If left untreated, it can lead to blindness. The good news? With early detection, AMD can be managed with effective clinically approved treatments that can reduce or even reverse some vision loss. Learning that you have AMD can be scary, but there's hope and help. The Foundation Fighting Blindness is researching and developing treatments and cures for AMD. To get your free AMD information packet, contact the Foundation Fighting Blindness today at 1-800-BLINDNESS. That's 1-800-BLINDNESS. Join the fight against AMD, because together there is a cure in sight.
The following is an incredible, life-changing free offer for anyone with hearing problems who wants to start hearing everything more clearly again. We're now offering free in-home trials of a revolutionary hearing breakthrough called Listen Clear to anyone who calls this special toll-free number now. 1-800-957-9364. Call in the next 10 minutes and you'll also qualify for free shipping and free batteries for life. Listen Clear is precisely designed by top audio engineers. It adjusts to let you find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And Listen Clear is so invisible, people may not even know you're wearing it. And it's so lightweight, you may even forget you're wearing it too. Don't miss this special life-changing opportunity to hear everything more clearly again for free with a 100% free in-home trial, free shipping, and even free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-957-9364. That's 1-800-957-9364. 1-800-957-9364.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
This is John Regan with Dr. Norm Shealy. And Dr. Shealy, we have caller Sharon from Montana with a question for you.
Good afternoon. Morning, I guess, here.
Good morning. I had something thrown by you, and I wanted your opinion. Two of my daughters have been involved in emotional healing, dealing with past, mostly negative emotions, maybe trauma or difficult things. And their teaching kind of shows that if you don't deal with these unresolved issues, that you can suffer a lot of health issues. And from what I understand, women, it's primarily women, but men too, that have dealt with that in healing. Do you believe that?
Well, let's face it, in my opinion, 90% of all illnesses are the result of stress, and most often it goes back to something that happened in childhood. So, any kind of unresolved stress can be a major contributor to any disease. It depends on where one is, how far one has to go to get rid of it. Autogenic training, a very simple tool that has been around since 1912, works for a huge bunch of people with all kinds of problems, anxiety, depression, headache, a whole bunch of things. If that's not adequate, then probably the next best thing is something called past life therapy or regression therapy, where a trained, psychologist or counselor of some kind has to help you get there. But in my opinion, we can help at least 90% of that 90% who have these problems as a result of whatever the stress is.
And so have you seen positive results from that, like people's health get better? I'm just curious. I know
I've
worked
with
and everything.
Yeah, I've worked with over 30,000 people, all of whom have, great past problems. and our success rate personally is 85%.
I was just curious. They were telling me about it, and I thought, well, I'm going to run that by you and see what you think about it also. Also, just on the preparedness idea, I don't think it takes a whole lot of space to store for a little bit. And my view is that even if you have stuff stored up for a couple of weeks, you're ahead of somebody who has nothing stored up. So, and I can a lot, like you do, like Major can, but I've also dehydrated quite a bit, and although freeze-dried stuff will last kind of indefinitely, I've had dehydrated stuff last up to 10 years.
Oh, yeah, I have too.
Yeah, it might be something someone can consider. I actually like to dehydrate stuff and then vacuum pack it, and then that removes any other potential air. And I had vegetables that were probably 12, 15 years old, and they were still fine. So it's another thought, and it doesn't take up much space.
Indeed, I agree. And another good thing to have, and they're very inexpensive, is a vacuum packer. You can put up to 2-quart jars in there with dried food, and vacuum pack your own. And then actually, if you really want to keep it a long, long time, seal the metal top with melted paraffin. It'll probably keep at least as long as freeze-dried.
I would think so. Yeah, I know you can get vacuum packers for around $50 at Walmart.
Right.
I imagine the bags aren't too terribly spendy, too. I don't know recently. We already have one, but I know I priced them a while back, and they weren't too terribly bad. And then most of the various attachments are interchangeable between the different brands, so you don't have to buy the expensive one. But I was going to say that anybody that has even a couple weeks is better off than someone who doesn't have anything. So, just comment. But anyway,
I agree. It is another of the self-sufficiency survival techniques that is inexpensive, safe, and well worth having.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's all I mainly wanted to ask you was about the emotional thing, so I'll let you guys go. Thank you.
Right. Remember, every emotional problem can be solved if you're willing to work towards it. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call.
Okay, bye.
I don't know if you saw, Dr. McCullough had an article on his website yesterday. New chemical bill. Thousands of years to test 64,000 chemicals for safety. And it kind of describes how you're really on your own to figure out what's safe and to keep the toxins away from yourself, because the EPA has such a limited amount of time to basically turn down a chemical. Otherwise, it ends up in use. And just testing these can be quite a chore because of the interaction. And I wish I could find us before I started using Evernote to keep track of everything on my research. I have the formula 1 + 1 = 100. And for even a lot of today's college students would go, that's not right. But what I found out, and I don't remember which 2 toxins it was, I think fluoride was one of them. If you take the LD1 of the one plus LD1 of the other, you get an LD100. So putting that into English, LD is the lethal dosage. So out of 100 mice, LD1, one of them dies. LD100, all of them die. So just combining those 2 chemicals at a rate that would only kill 1 mouse each, it ends up killing all of them. And in fact, it was worse than that, because the one didn't even need the amount to kill 1. It was like 60% of that.
Yeah, it reminds me of the whole idea of statistics in general, John. Depending upon how good or clever you are with statistics, you can switch them any way you like to prove anything.
I remember going through my high school library. I don't remember the exact title. It was How to Lie with Statistics. And I've had a number of statistical courses since. both at the undergraduate and graduate level. And there are so many things that you can do to skew the results that that's why I want to see the original data, just to have a look at it for myself. And even then, you got to have some kind of confidence on the original data.
Yes. I guess halitosis better no breath at all, but I honestly question most statistics.
That's why I went into the the details on the Social Security trustee report and found out what their assumptions were and broke it down, looking at how things were over the past few decades, and then just looked at the projections for that same time frame forward, and it is so insane once you look at it that way, and that's just part of it. It's like looking at the financial report of the United States, where it reported the unfunded liabilities for Social Security being $14 trillion, and yeah, that's a lot of money. But when you drill down to the data table behind that, for the next 75 years, it's going to take over 200 trillion. And what they do is do the present value of that, saying, okay, if we invest that 14 trillion at 5.7% interest, then we can cover that 200 trillion. Of course, we don't have the 14 trillion, and trying to find an investment that pays that. Good luck.
That's like saying if your Annie had a sex transformation, she'd become a real man. I mean, the government has never, ever, ever, ever managed anything with that kind of sanity that I know of.
I wish I could educate the Democrat voters as to what that party has done with our money and with the debt. They should be so furious. That alone has destroyed any sense of normalcy for our children and grandchildren. Not that the Republicans are any better. They're the ones that exported the job with these trade agreements and have destroyed a lot of our freedoms with things like the Patriot Act.
I have not been a Democrat or a Republican for as long as I've been conscious. I call myself libertarian because, at least philosophically, I agree greater with the libertarians, and so my usual approach is I vote against the one that I think is worse of the two candidates.
Yeah, and that has got us into the situation we're in. I am so frustrated, and that's, it's not new. It goes back to when I was at the Pentagon watching what was going on and seeing those people in Congress, both parties, violating their oath of office, same oath I took to uphold and defend the Constitution. And other than trying to vote them out of office, there's nothing we can do about it. But even today, I think the highest rating for Congress I've seen is 6% approval rating.
Yeah, and the lowest is 4%. It's not much different.
And it's just about impossible to get these people voted out in the primary. And then once they've won the primary, they're practically a shoo-in to go in again. And even at the height of the Cold War, there was more turnover in the Soviet Politburo than in Congress. And there lies a lot of our problems.
My basic philosophy is everybody should be voted out of office every term. Don't allow them back in, ever.
And I think it's a conflict of interest for people with a law degree to be in Congress passing laws.
Yes.
This is John Regan with Dr. Norman Shealy. We'll be back after this break.
Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now, with equipment purchased from ironedison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of ironedison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our ironedison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I've found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at ironedison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
DarkCityDefense.com was born in Black Mountain, at the foot of Black Mountain Range in North Carolina. From the Dark City, as it's affectionately been named, we've built an online firearms pro store that boasts a vast range of firearms, optics, and outdoor supplies. With aggressively low everyday pricing and a free gift pack with every firearms purchase, DarkCityDefense.com is committed to Tier 1 customer service and overcoming darkness by turning on the light of liberty. Find the light in our logo and find out more at DarkCityDefense.com. So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At ContractorExam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, ContractorExam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.ContractorExam.com today.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
This is a healthcare alert from the Pain Relief Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You don't have to suffer any longer. You can immediately qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you by calling our 24/7 Pain Relief Hotline at 866-389-0620. Delivery is free and all paperwork is handled for you. If you are on Medicare and have knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain, don't wait. You can qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost by calling our 24/7 Pain Hotline now at 866-389-0620. Our representatives are standing by 24/7 to take your call and rush you your pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you. Shipping is free and all paperwork is handled for you. Just call 866-389-0620. That's 866-389-0620. Again, 866-389-0620.
As a doctor, I see patients every day who are losing their vision to age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD. If you have blurry vision or blind spots, they can be symptoms of AMD, and if untreated, could lead to blindness. The good news, AMD can be managed with effective clinically approved treatments that may reverse some vision loss. For free AMD information, contact the Foundation Fighting Blindness at 1-800-BLINDNESS. That's 1-800-BLINDNESS. There is a cure in sight.
It's John Regan with Dr. Norman Shealy. It's been a quick 2 hours today. We're down to about the last 5 minutes, and we've got another caller, Mike from New Hampshire. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, fellows. Nice to hear the program today. It's been great. Going back to the topic of aluminum, that piqued my interest because I was thinking another source of the aluminum contamination in people could also be the chemtrails and the geoengineering and the spraying of the aluminum on the populations. And maybe Dr. Shealy could comment on that.
Yes. All I could say is the committee, or the evil empire that is behind government apparently all over the world, must have a real IQ of about 10 or below. Because how they can believe they can spray this stuff everywhere and not get poisoned themselves is beyond me. But, sanity is not known in politics.
Yeah, and it makes you also think possibly, I've heard some theories thrown out there that they have a way of chelating or actually dealing with it that's only available to them. And that would kind of make a little sense, but it's all crazy nonetheless. Of course, You're not only just poisoning yourself, you're poisoning everything.
Yeah. Obviously, there's only one word that fits people who do stuff like it's called psychopath, and it's called narcissistic psychopath. And, otherwise people don't do stuff that harms other people. It's that simple.
And how they all gravitate to power and actually achieve it is because, as who was it? Thomas Jefferson said that all it takes is good people to essentially stand down, and that's what's happening, and that's why they fill these positions, and there's a vacuum of power, and they fill these power positions, and it seems to feed on itself like an uncontrollable virus or something.
Well, I agree. I think that's as good a synopsis of what they are as one can put it. So anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, do read the book, The Committee of 300 by John Coleman, 4th edition.
And Dane Wigington does a good job covering the geoengineering front.
Well, the evidence is out there. Now, if we just had enough of a population with an IQ of 90 or above voting, we might be in good shape.
Well, I've came across an article about 2 or 3 years ago saying that if we ever started geoengineering, we could never stop. And I, in some ways, kind of thought that was funny because, I had learned that we actually started geoengineering back in the early 50s. And my understanding is it was basically in the Arctic at the time, and the scientists didn't understand why there was this fog up there. And since then, they've had to start doing that pretty much everywhere. And of course, we all see the results in the skies today.
Yeah, and when we link it to fluoride in the water, and that all coming as a byproduct of the aluminum, mining industry, and you do all the history and the research on it, it all ties together. It's all together. They use these programs as a way to get rid of waste. It's kind of like, shooting the depleted uranium rounds for practice off of Navy vessels in the Pacific. It's the same thing. They're using it as a way to get rid of all this waste that in any other world you couldn't get rid of. What do you do with it? Shoot it off into space? Clearly we're not there yet.
We ain't even close to that yet. The most stupid thing in the history of human beings is the creation of nuclear energy, because we don't know how to get rid of it.
And gentlemen, we're out of time. Mike, thanks for the call. And Dr. Shealy, it was great being on with you, and I'm sure sometime in the future I'll be back.
Thanks, John. See you.
Remember, class, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you.
How many of you want to learn how to dig up bugs, worms, and raise crickets for food? Do you prefer to eat them dried and crunchy or while still alive? Well, you won't have to if you can defend your food supply from predators. You may want to get an AR-15 kit from guns80.com and build your own AR-15 rifle from a kit. If you can legally own a rifle, you can purchase this AR-15 kit. If you're handy, you can complete the rifle in about an hour. The kit comes with all the parts you're going to need to build your rifle, but you'll need a drill press. And survivalists need one anyway. The Guns80.com team purchased the same used floor-standing drill press that I have for $100. You can too. And when you're finished, you'll have a paperwork-free AR-15 rifle, a drill press, drill bits, and the knowledge to maintain your AR-15 rifle, all for less than you expect. So if you want a paperwork-free AR-15 parts kit like mine, visit Guns80.com, Guns80.com, and let the unprepared have our share of the bugs.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
The best-kept secret in the firearms business is CDNNsports.com. CDNN Sports is the largest firearms liquidator in the U.S. We've got optics, accessories, gun parts, magazines, ammunition, and more. Sign up for our email specials today for the best gun deals, period. You will also be entered to win a Winchester 101 field shotgun. Go to Charlie, Delta, November, Sports.com. That's CDNNsports.com.